You know, when someone asks you what's going on in your life and you actually answer properly, not the quick version, not the, yeah, all's good response. You actually tell them. You explain what's been going on. You talk about the things you've been thinking about, the things you've been dealing with, the things that feel a bit stuck or unclear. And in that moment, it feels like something is happening. You're being open. You're saying it out loud. You're putting words to something that's been sitting in your head for a while. And sometimes that brings a bit of relief. It feels like you've moved something even slightly. And yet, what tends to happen after that is where things get a little bit quieter. The conversation ends. You go back to your day. And whatever you spoke about, that just stays where it was. Nothing really shifts. Nothing actually changes. You say it, you go over it, and then nothing changes. And this can become a pattern without you really noticing it. You have the same conversations. You explain the same situations. You describe the same frustrations, the same things you're unsure about, the same things you've been meaning to do something about. And each time it feels like you're engaging with it, like you're doing something about it. When in reality, however, you're staying in that same space of thinking and talking. It doesn't move beyond that. Over time, that creates this sense of being stuck. Not because you don't understand what's going on, not because you haven't looked at it, rather because it never leaves that stage. The issue usually isn't that you don't know what's wrong, it's that you're not using what's available and there for you. Because in most cases, there's already enough awareness. You already know what the situation is. You already know what's not working. You already have a sense of what needs to change, even if it's not yet fully clear. And yet that doesn't turn into anything unless something is done with it. I used to see this a lot when I offered low-cost card readings in exchange for someone sharing their current biggest challenge. People would reply and share very openly at times. They'd talk about what was going on, what they were struggling with, what they were trying to figure out. And there was always clarity in those conversations. Things would land, things would make sense. And then it would end there. They wouldn't take the next step. They never moved forward to the low-cost, heavily discounted and very affordable card reading I was offering. They simply wouldn't do what would help address the challenge they had just described to me. And so nothing actually changed for them. It's not that they didn't care. It's not that they weren't aware. They just stayed in that space of having talked about it. This shows up in so many different ways. It might be offered, or you might be offered support. You might come across something that resonates. You might have a moment where something becomes really clear. And then you don't move with it. You sit with it. You think about it. You tell yourself you'll come back to it, and it stays there. From the outside, it can feel like you're doing the work. You're thinking about things. You're even talking about them. You're trying to understand them. And yet none of that changes anything on its own. Support only matters if it's used. It only matters if something is done with it. Otherwise, it just becomes another conversation, another moment of clarity that doesn't go anywhere. And over time, that's what keeps things exactly as they are. You stay in the same patterns, you keep circling the same situations, you keep revisiting the same thoughts, and nothing actually shifts. And if you don't do anything with it, nothing changes.